Welcome to the Ward 3 debate. My name is Phil Bessling, and I'm your nominal host and also the ruler. So first off, exits at the back and washrooms are here, elevator in the corner, so everyone knows where everything is. A Better Grimsby is a group of citizens who came together and concluded that with the myriad changes that are occurring in our community, the voters needed an opportunity to hear their ward candidates, both incumbents and challengers. And this is what we have invited you to. As a group, we do not endorse anyone. Our role is strictly one of providing an opportunity to hear all views so that you can make an informed decision about who would best represent your interest and represent you properly at council. We have provided a sign-in sheet, which is optional, which we would use to forward any information to you should you so wish. It's entirely up to you. Each candidate has been sent rules of procedure, which we have distributed around the room as well. The order of speaking has been drawn by lot, and they are numbered accordingly, and the closing remarks will be in reverse order. Written questions will be taken from the floor and vetted by our panel. Pads and pencils you have, and you can write them anytime during the evening. I will be the rover collecting. So if your question is ready, raise your hand, I will collect it. The intent is not to censor your question, but to avoid repeats of the same question. We also ask that you treat all candidates with respect and that you maintain decorum. Please hold your applause until the completion of the closing remarks. Our moderator is Ms. Delight DeVoli. Our panelists are Henry Dortmans and Tony Josie. Our timekeeper is Rob Hatton. And with that, I turn the floor over to Ms. DeVoli.
He's a lot taller than I am. Thank you, Phil, and a very warm welcome to every one of you that came out tonight. Thank you for coming. I believe that democracy is built through really open societies where we share information with each other. I think that when we share information, we become more knowledgeable, more aware of the issues, and the facts too. And that when there is a debate, we can find solutions together. So let us debate tonight. Not in an angry manner, but in a manner that encourages many sides of the issues tonight. From there, you'll hopefully find candidates that will represent you with the best solutions that you believe will work for you. And so I ask you and the candidates tonight to think of the tone of this meeting as being how you would like to see our municipal councillors speak and debate in a real council session. Phil has already shared with us the rules of that was shared with the candidates as well. They have chosen numbers from 1 to 5, and in order to help the accountant in the room, 1 is here, 5 is there. And of course the reverse order will be done for the closing comments. As we go through the questions, though, we will keep moving it. So the first time number 1 will start, the second question number 2 will begin the round of questions, the third question number 3, and so on. As Phil mentioned, if you have questions, of course, we ask you to write them on pads of paper and to put up your hand. They'll be collected and brought here. And we do want to share, though, that if you have a question for a specific candidate, and you put that on your question, we will start with that person, but we will also give all the candidates an opportunity to share their opinion and thoughts on it too. So let me begin the session by introducing the candidates to you here tonight. So first on my immediate left, number 1, drawing number 1 tonight is Ryan Day. Number 2 is Randy Vane. Number 3, Sonia Nels. Number 4, Joanne Johnson. And number 5, John Dunstall. We are now going to give each of the candidates 2 minutes to make their opening remarks. As was mentioned, Rob Hatton is the timekeeper, and he will give you a signal when you are at the 30-second mark remaining, and then another one at 15 seconds, and then 0 happens, of course, 0 hour. At which time I hopefully won't have to interrupt you, but I will in order to keep us moving along. And then what we're going to do is we're going to not have you stand up here, because it'll feel like, popping up and down out of your seats all night, but I will take the mic and pass it to you, and we'll just keep moving it along until we get to the end, and then we'll move it back to me for the next question, if that makes sense to everybody. So we will then begin with our first question, and with Ryan. And as you know, the first question really is open-ended, and for you to share with us anything that you would like to, any opening remarks. And Ryan, you're on next. Standing by the post.
Good evening, and thank you everybody for coming. Can you guys hear me? In the back? Barely. Good evening, thank you everybody for coming. My name is Ryan Day. I'm running for Ward 3. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been living in Grimsby for 13 years, and I really enjoy it here, and I really love this community. I've seen a lot of changes over the past decade or so, so the reason I believe I want to run for council is to be a part of the bigger picture and help as a voice to the community. With that said, I'll give you a little bit of my background where I work. I work in public service for 17 years with the City of Hamilton, Roads and Traffic Division, and a former Parks Board employee. So both of those backgrounds, I feel that I can bring some customer service background to the community and help as a voice.
Thank you. I will learn not to do that. We're going to pass it on to Randy Vane.
Actually, the cord only looks long enough to make it over to Sonia. Sorry, guys. My name is Randy Vane. I am running for the Ward 3 Alderman position, like everybody else up here. And I would be very honored if you would consider a vote for me on election day, because it would be my honor to serve the ward. I want to thank you all for attending, and I want to explain to you a bit about my background and why I think I'm qualified. The one big question I get from a lot of people as I go door to door is people are saying to me, why should I vote for you? Very reasonable question. And my answer always comes back to a situation I had happen 29 years ago. For those of you that don't know, I work for Canada Customs. And when I was a young officer 29 years ago, I started very young, just in case you're wondering. When I was a young officer, somebody came up to me one day and they said, you know, Randy, you've got to slow down. You're going to burn out in 5 years and you're really not going to make a difference. There's just one of you. And I look back over those 29 years and I would love to meet that person that said that to me again today. Because along with some fantastic people that work at the border agency with me, I have made a difference. And I still have the passion, I still have the fire in me, and now I want to bring it to my local community. I've been involved in politics for 25 years, all different levels, all different kinds of candidates, all different parties, and I've learned a lot, but I know I can bring a lot to this town. And as we all know, it is time for change. So it's time that we move on, we bring in some fresh blood, bring some new eyes, and we stop all of these issues right now and make a difference and bring Grimsby back to the way it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sonia Nellis. A lot of people might know me from if you've ever visited Westland Hospital or in the Hamilton region. Can you hear me? No. Or a little bit down there? Okay, that's good. So, being an employee for a long time, I moved to Grimsby in 1985. So I've been here a long time. And I used to bike around Grimsby a lot because we were a one-car family. And we raised our 3 children on bicycles. So the Dutch in me is the bicycle way. So since my careers are all mixed into a large void of careers, I'm also a foot care nurse. I'm still doing the foot care and mentoring other nurses in the community. What I bring to you is the voices of the community. It's my clients, my people out there that are asking me to run for this council because they see the need and they express it deeply to me. So that's why I'm running for council. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Joanne Johnston and I am proud to be your council. I never tire of it, and some history on myself. I was born and raised in the Niagara region, St. Catharines. We moved here in '85 also. I did not know a soul, so I made it my mission to meet you. And I started going around the neighborhoods and meeting people, and I joined an appointed committee, the Heritage Committee. My father, bless him, he gave me the will to run for council. Coming from a communist country, my father, democracy was it was our middle name. So at 18, when we were able to vote, it was like our birthday, because that's what our country is made of, is democracy. So, and even if you don't vote for me or someone else I want you to vote, because that is what our country is made of. Myself, I volunteer my time in our community. So I work in a small independent pharmacy here in Grimsby, just at the top of the hill, and I'm also an officiant, but more so I am part of this community, and that's what I feel. I feel that you have to be part of a community in order to breathe and live it, and that's what I do here. You'll see me anytime just walking downtown or just walking in neighborhoods, because I want to get to know you. I never tire of being on council. I never have, and I never will. And so I ask you to please have trust in me again, and God bless.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Dunstall. I want to thank the other candidates for their remarks. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I would really like to address the people that live in Ward 3, because you're the ones that are going to be voting and for Ward 3. So let me say this, that I decided to run again, and now as an incumbent, because I still see that there's more that needs to be done in Grimsby. When I ran in 2014, I said 92% is too much, and that is our residential tax base compared to our commercial tax base. I must tell you today that it is now at 85% residential and 15% commercial, so it's improving, but it still isn't there. It still needs to come down to 75%. This is why taxes, residential taxes, can be higher than what they should be, because the residents have to pay the bulk of the infrastructure and everything that a town has that needs to function. So, that being said, Grimsby has a wonderful downtown. We see activity in our downtown now when it comes to development, and part of me finds that very exciting, because what I call that is new money. But we have to control it. As we all saw, the 8-story complex that Mr. DeSantis presented to us at a public meeting, it drove a lot of people crazy. That being said, we're down to 4 stories. There are some buildings in our downtown that are aging, are really old, and it actually concerns me, because structurally there could be issues. We've already had a fire last year in one corner, and we sure don't want to see another fire. Anyhow, thank you for the time. I love to talk.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you for those opening remarks. Also, as part of the preamble to this debate tonight, we also gave each of the candidates all the same 2 questions, which we are now going to ask them. So they were given 2 questions. The 2 questions that we're going to ask them to answer for us tonight at the same time, question 1, and then please move to question 2. And again, 2 minutes for the time to answer both of these questions. So the 2 questions that we're asking them to start this evening with are number 1, what are the 2 most important issues in Ward 3, and how do you propose to address them if you are elected? That's question 1. Question 2, what are the 2 most important issues in the town of Grimsby, and how do you propose to address them if elected? And this time we are going to start with Mr. Bain.
When they asked us this question, it was very hard to sit here and pick just 2 issues. I know our incumbents and other councillors are going to tell you that they've done all this great stuff and whatever else, but the 2 town issues I'm going to start with are the taxes. Taxes are high. Again this year, it was above the cost of living. I personally haven't seen any increases in services. I was at council meetings where they talk about moving benches from one park to another. I look at the roads. I look at the sidewalks, I look at our parks and our beaches. The only place I see tax money being spent is on a biogester, which is a pet project for a member of council, or several members of council. And they'll try and convince you that this thing's a good investment. I don't believe so. Overdevelopment, there has been so much development in this town that it is out of control. It has taken this town and strangled us. We can't move, we can't do anything. People say to me, we need to be able to drive through the downtown to be able to keep the merchants alive. If you're stuck in traffic and you can't find a parking spot, you're not going to shop there.
Right.
These are issues we need to address. As far as the ward itself, I come back to the same 2 issues I just said before. Infrastructure, sidewalks, roadways look horrible. But we have a $10 million biogester, but you can't drive on the roads. I got an email from a lady one day who's a senior. She was walking along in her walker, and she tripped over a sidewalk. And the last thing I want to talk about is we need to do something about this traffic and stop the development. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I had a hard time with these 2 spots too, because there's a lot of issues with Grimsby. It's not just pertain to wards, it's basically everywhere. My biggest concern is the need for affordable transportation. We're kind of a little Grimsby. We got the new hospital. You go for a test, where do they send you? Hamilton. How are you going to get to Hamilton? If you don't go to Hamilton, yeah, you can get transportation to St. Catharines, but we need to get this rectified. If Dart's bus does go to Vineland, Winona, but you have to get to the Tim Hortons, and you can jump on the Dart's bus.
Yeah.
But that's not good for the people. We have a lot of seniors living in this little community. It's becoming a hub for retirement. We need to provide the services for these seniors. You need a walker, you have to go to St. Catharines, or you have to go to Hamilton. They're not available as easy as these seniors are finding it. It is a real problem. If you have to go for a doctor's appointment, where does it send you? West Lincoln is actually reducing some of their services. So this is a big concern with me. I hear from my co-workers that have worked there before. The other concern I have is Ward 3. It is falling apart. The beaches are crumbling, the sidewalks, there are no sidewalks in some of these areas. I actually nearly drove in a ditch the other day because the way the road went. They need to be rectified. And
30 seconds, good luck.
so those are my big two concerns, is those sidewalks and the transportation in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start off with the ward questions. And one of the ward questions that I have is the speed limit down at by the school districts. I had a say in reducing the speed limit in the school areas, and I still want them reduced. Students are walking to schools, so they need to be reduced. And I also believe that the traffic down in the school areas. I think we need to look at some speed bumps in the areas that we see speeding everywhere. Speed bumps do help, and I want them brought to rectified. Also, I would like to see, we have an issue with seniors and how they live and where they live. And a lot of seniors are thinking of and planning on moving away from Grimsby because there is no affordable housing for them. I think we have to look at that for seniors here in this town because we're all going to be seniors, many of us are, and we're going to be leaving our homes. And I think it's time that we really took a serious issue as to seniors and where we put them and where we will live. We can't afford some of these buildings that are in the West End or some that are building downtown because we're on a limited income. So we have to think of limited incomes here. Always there's traffic downtown, I have to say, within the town. I have made concern about turning lefts everywhere because you cannot turn left anywhere. Try to turn left at some of the roads downtown and you cannot. So we have to find other ways of traffic.
I'm sorry, Joanne, thank you for those comments. If you'd be so kind as to pass the mic to John.
Thank you. Issues in Ward 3, well, issues in the town too, is growth. And one of my colleagues said we want to turn Grimsby back to the way it was. Well, to be frank, that's never going to happen. What we can do, though, is manage that growth. And of course, in our downtown, we're going to see some more growth. And I want to be a part of that, and I want to see it done well. I have had people come to me who said, I want to live downtown. I don't want to live by the lake anymore. I want to live down. These are couples. So there are people that have a desire to want to live in our downtown. And at the current status, there isn't enough residential intensification downtown for anybody to want to be able to move downtown. So that's important. Traffic is an issue. We've got to look at our roads and see how we can improve on our traffic flow going forward. Maybe we need to look at a bypass so that we don't have it going through our downtown. The consultants back in 2010 that looked at the CIP suggested we take Ontario Street right up to Kerman, and I think that might be a great idea, that we knock down the post office. Turn the other part of Elm into a promenade. Maybe then the farmer's market could be there, because I hear some issues with the farmer's market. The farmer's market has been a real asset for our downtown. It has brought in a lot of growth to our merchants, and they really appreciate it. They missed it last year. And so those are some of the issues. There's more. And transportation is one of them. We've got the GO train coming. And so we are looking at transportation. We are looking at a public bus service, but that will take time.
Thank you, John. Ryan?
Most of these people said the same thing that I'm going to say, is there's too many issues. But for the ward issues, I got two that are on my list to start with. Traffic. There's too many intersections that are high probable collision rate intersections. I feel there are problems. I'm not going to get into the list of them, but some of you may know where they are, like Clark Street. We need some new road design. We need some new ideas to make some of these roads safer. Other ward issues I have is safer communities. I heard some other candidates here talk about some development, reconstruction, sidewalks. Some of those things can be actually added in to make safer communities with traffic calming measures. Crosswalks that we never had some before, near schools, where kids and families live. For town issues, I got two of them. I'm going to start off with planning and the infestation of residential development. I think it's too much The new town of Grimsby down there, I don't think it fits with the actual town of Grimsby. It's happened, it's there, we're gonna move on and finish it, but going forward, larger and taller buildings, I don't think they fit from what we've all seen over the years. Even the new Main Street, I don't wanna see 6-story buildings, even 3-story buildings that don't fit. One of my last issues I really don't like is a biodigester. I think it'll be a waste of money long term, and I don't think we'll see the return on it. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. That covers the 2 questions that we had given to the candidates ahead of time. At this point in time, we hope that you have been thinking of additional questions you would like to ask the candidates. There are yellow pads of paper and pens floating around out there, and the really tall guy with the white hair would be happy to collect them from you. While that is going on, though, and we realized there was going to be a slight gap in the proceedings as we collected the questions, we thought what we would do is actually what the name that was coined and given to me was that we're going to have a rapid fire section. And what that is I guess I'm going to be holding the mic the whole time, and we're just going to ask the candidates to raise their hand for yes or for no when I ask the question. And so in no particular order, because they gave me quite a list, but I'm going to hold the list down to 6 questions. So when I ask the question, I'll ask you to put up your hand first if you are in favor of it, yes. And then after we see who has voted yes, then we will ask for the no hands to come up. So the first question that seems to be on everybody's mind these days is, should the privately owned biodigester be charged property taxes? Yes. Thank you. And the no's? Thank you. The second question. Would you support a Livingston expansion to go through the Irish Grove Woodlot / Greenbelt area? Yes? Would you support the expansion to go through? Yes? I see no yeses. No?
No comment. No comment. There's an EA being done on it right now. Let's see what the EA says.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue on. The third question is, would you support the release of all the power companies' financial reports to the public, including Grimsby Energy and Grimsby Hydro? Yes? Thank you. No? Thank you. The fourth question. Do you support not intra, intermunicipal transit? Yes? And obviously there'd be no no's. The fifth question. If elected, will you honor the town's official plan for building heights as it currently stands? Yes?
Are we talking section 37?
Everything that's in the official plan at the moment?
Section 37.
Yes? So those were all, let's try this again because we had an interruption there. Yes? All those in, yes?
Delay, I think the question's a little confusing because John cited with section 37, that's the builders can pay more and get it higher. I think we need to clarify that. Like,
Thank
if
you.
you're saying-
Okay,
are you-
yes,
are you
that's a
saying-
valid question.
are you
A valid
saying
point,
we
thank
accept
you.
The way it is, without section 37? Is that the question you're asking?
Would that be the right way to word it? Yes. Okay, let me reword that then. So if elected, would you honor the town's official plan for building heights without payments under section 37? Yes?
We're not including it.
No.
No
Why are
bonus.
we taking it out? It's part of the official
Mr.
plan.
Dunstall, she's the moderator.
I
Please respect
understand
the
that.
moderator.
You're
Please respect the moderator.
manipulating the questions.
Please respect the
Second.
moderator.
Okay, I think what we will do, because obviously there's a bit of confusion about the question, and I'm not helping, obviously, in this point. So we'll move on to the next one. But if any of you have any questions about those things, for further clarification, because I think John would like to add some more to it later. If any of you want to submit any questions, I'm sure we should be talking about this some more, for sure. We'll move on to the next one then. Would you support Bartlett Avenue as the preferred truck route to be completed? Yes.
My very first.
And are there any no's? And we have some on the fence. We'll come back to those. Hopefully people will ask some questions about those sorts of things. Seeing I deleted one of the questions, which hopefully all of you will ask some more of the candidates a little later on here, I will go back to another question then and ask, would you support a reduction in the number of regional representatives? Yes? And I don't even need to ask for the no on that particular one, do I? Thank you. That was our little rapid fire straw questions here. At this point in time, I'm going to step away from the mic just for a few moments. Please don't get up and leave or go too far. And you need to stand up and stretch, that's fine. The questions that they've collected are now going to be just sort of sorted out and passed to me. And then, so I'm going to step away from the mic just for a moment to get those from the panel, and then I will be right back.
Just an FYI, on your rapid fire, we had 4 same questions.
Okay.
So I don't know if they told you beforehand, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
So we've got lots of others, so you can come.
Okay, so just to refresh the rules as to the order that we will now go in. The opening remarks started with candidate 1, question 2 started with candidate 2, so these questions are not directed to a particular candidate, they're directed to all of you on this question. So I'm going to start with Sonia, you'll be the first one to answer. So I'll read you the question, then I'll pass you the mic. And this is a long one. Thank you, you filled the entire page.
How much time did it get to like the city know and how much is the morning?
Pardon me, yes, we need to discuss that too. I believe they get 1 minute to answer each of the questions, so a little shorter this time. Not quite as long as your...
And I'll give them 50 drop.
Just lost you. Are we still there? Good, okay. Okay, and the person nicely printed too, thank you. So the question is to all candidates. Being a resident in Ward 3 for 47 years, I am one of the residents that has had an excellent experience with aldermen and poor has had an excellent experience with aldermen and poor experiences over the years. It appears that some aldermen feel their responsibility is only to attend town meetings and forget that they are elected to be a servant for the residents. So the question, that's the preamble, the 2 questions. And please answer them both at the same time. Are the candidates' primary responsibility going to be resident, servant, and not just a meeting attendee? And do each of you have the time to effectively fulfill these responsibilities?
Actually, I'm actually in planning there. I have retired from West Lincoln, and I'm semi-retired and just going to be planning to retire from my other business. So I'm going to have lots of time to cover all the, I can visit people at the homes like I usually do now, and I can visit the people and find out what their problems are and bring it to council. I have the time to do it. That's why I never applied for being in council before. You need the time to bring this to council, follow through, and bring it back to the clients or the community at hand. So that's what I feel I have.
Okay, thank you. Joanne?
Hi there. We always say council is part of our responsibility to you. I am very involved in the community. I am part of Big Brothers Big Sisters. I am on the board. I'm part of Village of Hope, and I also volunteer my time. Many small events I'm involved with. Terry Fox, we just did Terry Fox last Sunday. We raised $30,000 as a community. You should be very proud of yourself. That's wonderful. And to be part of the community, you know, you give yourself back. And that's what communities, that's why I moved here, and that's what I live for. I live and breathe at Grimsby, and I enjoy volunteering my time. I enjoy just being part of this community, and if you've seen me around, you know that I give freely, and I've never missed a council meeting, or either a committee meeting.
So I guess the question is the roles and responsibility of an alderman, and let's remember, it is a part-time position. This isn't a full-time job, and some of us have full-time jobs on top of this part-time position. So to suggest that we're there to be servants, it's just I mean, if you have a concern with your plumbing from the town's road to your house, that's important. We want to hear about that. Want to do something about that. Your garbage pickup, we want to know about that. If you're having disagreement with your neighbor, sometimes you got to do those things yourself. You've got to look after those things yourself. So we all work very hard at what we do, and I've worked with the councillors that are currently on town council, and they're hard-working people. That's what we are, hard-working people.
So town alderman, well, it's not just going to the town meetings. It's customer service. So down to the little things. The street sweeper didn't come by your street in the last month. I think we can help facilitate that through Public Works. So I would know contacts, get to know these people, because we're going to work together under the corporation. If I was elected, or anybody else would, it's about meshing together to have the same common goal. Customer service, servicing our constituents, our stakeholders, and our taxpayers.
The one major issue that I haven't mentioned yet, but other people have alluded to it, when I've been knocking on doors, the biggest thing I keep hearing is, I called my alderman, or I called the mayor, or I called the city. Nothing. Crickets. That's not the way it's meant to be. John says it's a part-time job. To me, it's not a part-time job. I work full-time. I work from home 4 days a week. My Facebook response time to anybody who's bothered to email me or reach out to me or phone me has been anywhere from 10 to 35 minutes. I take this seriously. I'm going to be retired next year. My wife's terrified she's going to lose her husband because I get into things very deeply. So she may not think that's a bad thing, but she claims it is. I am very dedicated to this. I'm not looking at this as a part-time job. I'm looking at this as a chance to make a difference. And customer service will be top-notch for me. I will return your call. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We have some more questions here now. And we're going to start with this one. Without development, how do you bring down property taxes? And we're going to start with you this time, Joanne.
Good noise.
Unfortunately, you can't. We need development. We need the growth in Grimsby to bring extra taxable base to Grimsby. It's as simple as that. We have so many things to be thankful for. I bet there's so many municipalities who don't have their sidewalks cleared. They don't. We do, and we take that for granted. We have our sidewalks cleared. If we don't want that done, then okay, let's just put that forward and say some of the things that we have done for our town. We have wonderful roads, and everybody can say that, but I don't think Grimsby has been a municipality that has been on that list for bad roads. So we need development, yes we do. If you want to know something, the region has come forward. 2031 was the year for the growth maximum. Now they pushed it to 2041. So let's put it in there and think about that. 2041 is now the max for development.
Thank you, Joanne. I've got to agree with Joanne. You can't lower taxes, or you can't keep them the same if you don't have any development. But you need a balanced development. You need both residential and commercial. And I've repeated that, or I am repeating that. I've said it before. If you allow too much residential growth, your taxes are still going to go up. So you need a balanced approach with good commercial growth, creates more employment, creates more commerce in our town, and people shop in our town, and we have economic growth, and that will bring prosperity. Thank you.
Development. Fortunately, they are right, but overwhelming development I don't think was needed. I think we've gone too far ahead, and where we are, I think we're pretty good. We can have some development go forward in the future, but something that's comfortable for everybody and balanced. It's all about budgets, so how much are we spending? Are we wasting? It comes down to those little things when you look at it on paper. So it can be controlled, but some development will happen, but not the overwhelming. I think we've gone too far with that.
I definitely agree with Ryan when he says we've gone overboard. We need to bring in more business. Bringing in more houses and more condos and all that is not going to help alleviate your taxes. They've proven that the average resident doesn't pay enough to cover all the services, something that other towns have. It's time that we grow up, we stop worrying about bringing in more homes, we start bringing in businesses, and we start fixing what we have. By bringing in more homes, brings in more cars and more people, yes, it'll bring to our stores and all that type of thing, and then we can all start looking at other towns to shop because they'll be so busy up here. Let's not keep putting the cart before the horse. Let's start looking for business and let's slow down development. Back off. Thank you.
Development. It comes to question, what does it really mean? Does that increase our taxes if we don't get people coming this way? With all this development of houses, where does everybody shop? Costco. We need to bring better businesses to the local community that services our community. Not just so we can build another Walmart or anything else. We need the development that brings produce to this area. Help the farmers. That brings the whole structure of the sales. So that also brings more products out in the community. So we can become a product community. So that's where I feel we can get our taxes paid and everything else. Bring that development. We need a canning factory back. So that's what I think. Help the farmers.
Thank you. The next question. Everybody ready? Would you consider shutting down the biodigester and cutting our losses? And the question here is basically yes or no. And John, you can go first. We're going to give you a minute so you can add your thoughts to it.
I got to tell you, the train left the station a number of years ago. That biodigester is there. It is going to be there for many years to come. We've got to just let it work itself out. We can't continue to harbor these ill feelings about the biodigester. It's quite an interesting project if we could look at it in a more positive way. But I don't know how you'd want to shut down that biodigester because the losses would be just absolutely incredible. You wouldn't be able to sell it. I mean, if you get it working, maybe somebody might even buy it someday. It is it's green energy. It's green energy. It's a FED program. It's, you know, I don't get why everybody wants to shut down the biodigester. Have I hit my minute? No, I keep going. I got 6 seconds. Thank you.
Biodigester. Let's take a look at what it's worth and part it out and get rid of her.
Well, that's a hard act to follow, isn't it? You know, there's actually a gentleman running in another ward, and he said to me one day he has a neighbor who actually knows about biodigester because the neighbor works for a company. And the company would buy the biodigester from us, obviously not at the price that we paid for it, but we could continue on, as has been suggested. We can continue pouring more millions of our tax dollars in there. Don't worry about the roads and the sidewalks and everything else, just keep pumping it in there. I'm an environmentalist, don't get me wrong, I'm all for this stuff. But I'm not for wasting millions and millions more dollars on this project because somebody thought it was a great idea and it didn't work out.
Biodigester. I haven't visited personally, but I hear lots of smell reports and everything else. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence of that. Till I visit it myself and do some more research on it, because in England it does work, but I'm kind of on the fence of that. I don't want to put more money into it. I think it just needs to grow a little bit more, or get rid of it and find an investor to take it over.
I think the money we invested in the biodigester as taxpayers, I think you want to see it succeed. That in your heart, you need it to succeed, because then down the road, we can sell it. We have interested parties, but we have to give it a chance. And I was the very first one to ask for that motion on Monday, but we need to see how much it's cost us. We need to see what it's worth, the financial statements, that's what we need to see, and it's got to be open. But I do believe nobody here wants to see that biodigester fail, because it's not good tax business, okay? That's what it comes down to.
Thank you. The next round of questions are all about trucks and streets. And the panel said to me, we have about 4 questions here. They're all slightly different, but they all sort of follow the same theme. So bear with me as I figure out how we're going to have you answer 4 questions at once. How about I read them all to you, and then you can answer any bit and piece of it that you would like. This last time we started with John, right? So we will start with Ryan this time. So the first, part 1 of the section on trucks and so on, says, is there a speed and weight limit for vehicles on Christie and Mountain Street? And if so, why aren't we more diligent with enforcement and serious tickets? Question 2. What about closing a residential street like Olive to truck traffic? There's no reason for trucks there. Question 3, and I'll read them again to you, I promise. To control the truck traffic, has the town looked at an enforceable backfill bylaw? And perhaps that's a little bit different. There were 2 candidates that voted no for extending Bartlett's for trucks, and their question is, remember all the accidents in town? So, which one would you like me to read?
Let's start with the first one.
The first one, I'll read it again. Is there a speed and weight limit for vehicles on Christie and Mountain Street? And if so, why aren't we more diligent with enforcement and serious tickets? But then again, there were other questions about trucks on other streets too that you might want to answer.
You got the full minute.
Yes, well, all my questions.
Truck traffic on Christie Street, well, that would be something that's mandated by the town, usually by road design as well. So some roads, rural roads, country road like Tar and Chip, which is like service treated roads, a lot of those roads are regulated because of the design, with the weight they can handle, sub-base and stuff like that. Christie Street, being an access, is ultimately and was designed, I'm sure, by the town a long time ago with proper base, so it can handle the load that it's allowed to have.
Yes, but if you need me to read them again, I will. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start with the one of closing Olive Street. You know, Olive Street would not be the only street that I would close to truck traffic. Somebody said today, what about fire trucks turning onto certain roads? Well, I can tell you down in the West End, I've seen 2 18-wheelers get stuck trying to get around the corner because they put an island right up to the edge of the road. As far as weight and enforcement, that's an easy question to answer. We don't have enforcement. We have a part-time police officer. Talk to your regional council about that, because I will be. And as far as bylaw, 20, 30 hours a week I think they put in. I heard somebody said they're busy out tagging people who put school buses on their driveway. As far as the Bartlett extension, the reason that I'm not totally in support of that is because I was talking to some former councillors and some of our current candidates about a thing called the Mid-Penn extension, which is going to take the truck traffic out of our town, period. We don't need trucks going down Main Street, Olive Street, Livingston, whatever road, I don't care. We don't need these big trucks unless they're making deliveries. But we are becoming a route. As far as the mountain, I'm not gonna sit around and wait for somebody else to get killed. Let's get moving on this. The truck that killed somebody, or sorry, that caused an accident last year, apparently lost his brakes or something along that line, and that's why he crashed. That's not something we can control. Let's get the trucks out of the town, period.
The truck traffic up Olive Street, that's all to do with highway. So if we can get an alternate route for the highway, we can get a lot of this truck traffic out. I would love to see some kind of golden rule that no trucks allowed at a certain time of the day, especially during school time. So, pardon me?
You have service roads.
Service roads, yeah, they're great, but we don't have one on the North Service Road that continues on. A lot of trucks also get stuck in town because we have 3 Ontario streets. So they get into the first Ontario Street, don't know where they're going, and can't turn around. So they're stuck downtown. But it would be lovely to see some kind of transportation saying that trucks only do deliveries at a certain part of the day, so we can keep them off the road. And the trucks on Christie Street, really, there's no alternative route right now. And the Bartlett extension, that is with what he said, we're supposed to have that new extension coming through. That would take it right up the mountain and out of the way. Okay. Thank you.
I think I put my hand straight up when I said, was talked about the extension of Bartlett. I think that's part of what the region wants to do and what the 3 mayors have to decide what to do to get the traffic out of town. And once the region, and they are addressing the Mid-Peninsula corridor again, and they should be, then the traffic will be taken off of our main streets. As for Mountain Street, Christie Street, they are regional roads. We would love to have the region say and reduce the speeds and take the trucks off the road. We don't have enforcement, you are correct, we don't have the enforcement, which we should. The service roads should be more, when you're going down the QEW, it's bumper to bumper now, so then they come through the service road. Then the service road is bumper to bumper. If you ever tried on the weekend, try to get to one of the stop signs, so then they go through town. And unfortunately, there has to be some new form of truck traffic through the town. Thank you.
So, truck traffic on Mountain and Christie is, again, as Joanne mentioned, it's a regional road. There are limits to the speed and to the weights. We have taken truck traffic off of Park and off of Wolverton over the last year. So we're very aware of the issues. Lincoln's having the same problem in Beamsville with truck traffic coming down Mountain there too. That's why I think Bartlett is a solution now. Mid-Peninsula, I think that's still way off. It's 20 years away. Olive Street, now that the truck stop's gone, maybe we could divert the truck traffic off of that section of the North Service Road that winds down into Olive Street. I understand that that's a problem, and we should look at that, and we should try and deal with that. The part about the backfilling, I was a little lost about backfill. We do have a bylaw for backfilling up on the mountain, on farms and things like that, so we can stop that.
Thank you. That was hard. There were 4 very sort of semi-related questions to each other. Thank you for getting a big effort there. We're going to really change streams here now. The next question they passed to me is on a completely different topic. And the question, I have taken the opportunity to add a second part to it, because the first part of the question says, would you support going to a 1 alderman per ward system, yes or no, you have a whole minute. I would suggest you might want to say why or why not. And this last time we started with Ryan Baker.
One alderman per ward. Would you support going to a 1 alderman per ward system?
Yes, I would, actually. It's funny, anybody who reads my Facebook will know that's a question I put on there today. That I totally agree that we have far too many aldermen and a mayor and a regional council. We have 10 people. We only have a population of 30,000. In other towns, they have 1 councillor for 70 or more. Now, some of them will argue that we're going to, because we're only part-time, that we need more aldermen. But it just creates a real mentality in there of a circus sometimes. And I think, no, I think we have far too many people representing this town. We could take that money that we pay those extra part-time aldermen, and we could put it to better use within the town. Thank you.
Okay, supporting 1 alderman, depending on your alderman. Is he going to be there for you? If they're part-time, do you need the 2 aldermen or not? I can see it happening. In Toronto, they've already cut it all down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could work. It could work, and it could also reduce taxes, but depending on the alderman, if you're going to get your work for your zone, your ward, that is the big question with me.
Being an alderman, I'm going to say no. And being an alderman is a full-time job, okay? Because when we answer your questions, when we get around to you, which we do, at least this one does, I make sure that I get back to you. And to have a partner that I have, it's always good to have somebody else's opinion when we're dealing with something in our ward. So to say that Toronto was, let's get Toronto out of here, okay? Because Grimsby is not Toronto. I hear that every day. We are not Toronto. So please remember that. And 15 seconds, okay. But anyways, I'm going to say we do need partnerships. So 2 aldermen, 1 alderman would not do it, no.
All these good people want to work on their own. Understand that there's 4 standing committees. There's Public Works, Rec Services, Admin and Finance, which one am I doing? Oh, Planning. I'm not on planning. So. And we all have to form a quorum. And that's where all the work happens, and then it comes to council. So if you reduce to 4 aldermen as opposed to 8, your aldermen are going to every single standing committee and making all the decisions. You're going to be some tired people, let me tell you. I promise you. Your wife will never know you. Yeah, she'll say, "Who are you?" I don't recognize you. But seriously, the regional government here in Niagara region has 33 members. That's a lot. And if you've ever gone to a regional council meeting, you can understand there's just a lot of minds there. 8 aldermen is not a lot of people. We're making $16,000 a year. It's not a lot of money. It's not going to save anything on the bottom line.
Thank you.
So John kind of took some of the words out of my mouth. I somewhat agree with him. Having a quorum, and if you get only 4 aldermen to make decisions with a mayor, it's just not enough for real long-term decisions. So I do agree, but I understand from other people's point of view the cost savings of dropping 4. So I can understand from both sides, but for me, I think I'd like to see how it goes still with 8, because those decisions need to be made more than by 5 people. And that's my just truth and honest approach to that.
That was a different type of question, wasn't it? Yes, Randy spoke to it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. The next question is to all the candidates, and it's on transit. And the question says that they would like to know your opinion on public transit. Why you think we need it, and how affordable you think it might be. We're going to start with Sonia.
Transportation is actually on my top of my list. I have been in contact with DARTS. Some people might know how DARTS works in Hamilton. I do not understand why Grimsby never jumped in the U-Link little bus that went around. But even if we connect U-Link to Grimsby and U-Link to DARTS, we can get some of this transportation going without costing us a lot of money. DARTS advised me that Grimsby wasn't willing to sit down with them. So if we have some communication, DARTS does run on a tax base, but it services everybody in the community from young to old. And then you can get anywhere that DARTS takes you. And that is my main concern.
I don't know if any of you knew that, but we had an open house on our transit. And the majority of the people there said that we do not need transit here in Grimsby. Because they don't want to pay for it. Okay? You don't get anything for free anymore. You pay for everything, okay? Even a sucker you pay for it. But anyways, I am on the transit committee, and look to our east, to Mayor Easton and what she has done for Lincoln. And she has the U-line, and she has transit, and it doesn't run every hour on the hour, but it runs when you need it. And if we were to go ahead, it would go on your taxes also. So that's one thing that would happen. It's not free. So, but it's up to you. That's what it comes down to. We'll have another open house. Please, all of you, come out and please say how you feel about having transit, because that's what it comes down to. I can say yes, but it's not up to me. It's up to you, the community.
Yeah, public transit can be a very contentious issue, because some of us don't need it, and some of us do. The ones that don't need it don't want to pay for it. It's challenging. Here in Toronto, all the problems they have with public transit. It's costing the region a lot of money, and our regional taxes support the public transit that goes between the intermunicipal transit between the three communities now that it services. I don't know, there's no easy way out on this one. And the problem too, and we've looked at routes when you did the transportation study, so it goes along Livingston and it goes along Lake, but what if you live somewhere else? How do you get, well, you gotta walk to it. Well, if you're a senior in the wintertime, it's tough to get out and walk 2 or 3 blocks to transit. So there's no easy solution for this complicated thing. The other thing is we have a real love for cars. Look at the QEW every Saturday and Sunday. You can't move on it.
I've heard a lot about transit. That kind of what we've been hearing, if people that don't use it and people that would. Larger transit won't work here. I mean bigger buses and stuff like that. Single lane roads with traffic congestion, it just won't work. The road networks, it's just not meant for it here. Even if you went to a smaller scale trolley bus systems, maybe they would work if that's something long term down the road. But then you'd have to create laybys, which just costs more money to stage these things for pickups, or have municipal centers. The DARTS idea to start with, maybe pilot project, that's somewhere to start, because I know it's used a lot in Hamilton and it helps a lot of people. So if that's something eventually where we all want to go down the road, I think that'd be a good start, but we really need to pilot project that and see where it works.
I have to agree with my two counterparts on either side of me here that we don't need a big system. Now, I understand from talking to various people on the committee that one of the ideas being proposed was to get 40-foot buses. And why we would need a 40-foot bus, I have no idea, but I've been told that it was because we apparently would get more gas money. Well, you can barely fit an 8-foot car around some of the corners and on some of the streets right now. So I'm going to go with the Ryan and Sonia's idea of sticking with darts or something. We do need it. In Ward 3, we have a lot of senior people, and as one lady phoned me up one day, she said she could walk to a bus stop, but she knows a lot of people that can't. So, you know what, it's very easy to say, I'm not going to use transit. What happens if tomorrow you do need transit? So, I think a very low-cost system, and I think we need to look at Lincoln, and I think we need to look at Darts, and we need to look at other small towns, how they do it. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. I have to tell you, folks, I'm really impressed with your questions. This next one I didn't even know anything about. So the question is this. It starts with the explanation that there have been 6 deaths due to drug overdoses in one house on John Street in our town in less than 2 years. And so the next sentence says, the police have done nothing. And so the question is divided into 2. If you are an incumbent, please answer what is being done about this. If you are a new challenger, what would you do about this?
Okay. There is, actually, I attended United Way, the breakfast the other morning, and there is a serious opioid infection, let's say infection in the Niagara region. Niagara is one of the highest regions for overdoses. Unfortunately, Grimsby does have, people don't realize that. I was just talking with somebody that we do have a drug issue here. It's a medical issue. I mean, I call, we don't have the service to get these people to St. Catharines, because that is where we have to get them. We don't have the services, and that's what it comes down to. We call the police, we call the hospital, and we call the school. The schools are involved now, so, and GBF is also involved now. I have to say, GBF has a very, very good program for helping young people and with the drug issue. So I'm hoping that that we can help this out, because it's a major issue.
I was wondering if we were going to get to the question about cannabis next. Is that on the list? Drugs, I had no idea that somebody on John Street, there was 6 deaths. I mean, that's awful to even hear about it, and hear about it in our community and in our ward. And to suggest that nothing's being done about it is wrong, absolutely wrong. I would like to find out more about it and help do something about it right away. As soon as this meeting's over, I'd like to talk to the individual and see what we can do, because that's wrong. Thank you.
Ryan?
This is news to me. I did not know about this as well. It's very unfortunate to hear that stuff, but I think there's some things we can actually do is community awareness. And being youth, it can start with the schools. I know local police services, and I've dealt with them a little bit myself in Hamilton within the park section when I used to work about getting into the schools with the community liaison officers. And they go to the schools, the high schools, and they do some awareness on certain things that may be affecting youth. So that's one start, we could do that. And also local police, I know we have a substation here in Grimsby. It's a start to always ask what's going on there, talking to the staff sergeant, and seeing their input and opinions on how to go forward with something like this.
This is kind of a hard one for me, because I work with drugs every day. You have no idea the amount of drugs that we take off the streets every single day. We carry a thing at work. It's an injection. that if we get somebody who's swallowed or has taken opiates, we can give them an injection and it'll prolong the opportunity to get them help. In our town, it's very easy to say the police or whatever else. The police here in our town is very limited. We're dictated to by the region. We're not St. Catharines, we're not a priority. We've always been a very sleepy town, so they put very minimal resources here. We have ambulances that oftentimes there is none available. We have a volunteer fire department. We need to start providing these people with the proper drugs to be able to stabilize these people long enough to get them help. And we need to start addressing this issue. And that means working with the region to start getting more police down here. Thank you.
Opioids are on the rise, everybody knows it. And you can get it in your mail. They can order these things through mail at times and you don't know they get it. Or they can borrow it from their parents. We're not immune to it in Grimsby, unfortunately. It is everywhere. It is up north. It is everywhere. We need to know our children. We need to know what they're into. We need to lock up our medications if you're taking an opioid of some sort.
It isn't the children that are dealing from that house. That's the part the police are going to have.
I wasn't aware of that. They get it from somebody. They get it from somebody's parents. They get it from somebody. The garbage
Not
even.
kids.
So it's something that has to be addressed with the police force, everybody else, and I really don't know how to address this situation.
That's why they started for, because of the drugs.
Thank you. That was that was sad, really. The next question comes, I think, from probably someone who is a bit younger than I am. And it says, why should I stay and raise my young family in Grimsby? And then they've listed a few points that they've suggested you might want to talk about. Affordability, bike paths, local transportation, and safe communities.
Well, I think we've got a very nice town for a young family, lots of parks. We've got Murray Street Park, Nellis Park, we've got the nice little park over in the East End on Sandra Crescent. There's plenty of activities for kids to do. Our director of Rec Services has some great programs. I know when we put out the magazine that we send out twice a year for the spring and fall edition of activities at the rec center, the classes are taken up quite quickly. It's very popular. Our splash pads have been very well received. We're a good community to live in and to raise children. It's a very nice community for people to raise their children. Thank you.
Staying in Grimsby, I think Grimsby's great, and I think it has a lot to offer, and I think it will have much to offer in the future. The park systems, the waterfront, it's just a matter of time before those things get a lot better. I'd like to see some more splash pads in town phased in over the next few years, because I see a lot of families and younger kids around, and I think they'd enjoy more if they were more of the communities and neighborhoods. I think Grimsby's a great place to live. I just don't, I wouldn't want to see anybody to leave just because of the things that are going on. I think they can enjoy it here, and anybody can enjoy it and age successfully in this town and see the things get better and where they want to be. And while being a voice, understand that we all got to work together.
Again, I think most of the major points have been mentioned, but from what I've heard from a lot of people that I've spoken to is there isn't enough for our youth to do. If anybody is aware, recently on one of our roads in Ward 3, we had a trailer set on fire, homes broken into, cars broken into, and apparently it was all done by youth, according to people that saw somebody running away. I think that we need to invest more in having local parks. Having 86 acres up on the mountain where no kid can walk by himself, kind of useless. Let's bring it back into our community. And hang in there, because with the proper people at the helm, we are going to fix this. We are going to bring in proper transportation so that people can get around. We are going to bring back parks. We're going to bring in more splash pads. We're going to make Grimsby the community it can be. I believe in it. You should too. Thank you.
Grimsby is actually a wonderful place to live. My kids are moving back. They've been in the other places. So they say this is the best place to live, to raise your children. They love the school system, even though my kids hated the schools when they went to it. So we just need to rebuild certain sections of Grimsby to make it more nicer for the families. There are some parks that are missing, the playgrounds, it's certain sections for the kids. There is lots to do in Grimsby if you just look for it. And some people are just, I want more for my kids. So I myself, when my kids were growing up, we needed to go to gymnastics. Now, we're not going to have a gymnastic club in every community. We just go and find the best gymnastic club for ourselves. So I think Grimsby is a wonderful place.
And this is where I want to cry, because my daughter just moved out of Grimsby with my grandchildren, because she could not afford to live here anymore. It comes to a time when it's just not practical to live here anymore as you get older. My daughter's a single mom, so she's raising 2 kids, and she had to move away. And unfortunately, I raised 2 daughters here. I have 2 grandchildren, but as you get older for the kids, as they're out working, it's hard to afford to live here. I loved raising my kids here because, don't get me wrong, this was a beautiful place to raise my girls and my grandchildren. But practicality is that they move away, and I have sadness now. So I miss them. Antonio comes weekends, and I can't sing.
John, you started, so.
Okay.
The next question, and we will start with Ryan this time, is what do you propose to do about the lack of affordable housing in our town? And there is a corollary question to it that says, why can you not insist that every developer provides several units to this cause for the town?
Well, I'm the honest guy, and I don't know too much about that, to tell you the truth. So that's something I can definitely look into, but I really don't know the details on that. So rather than beat around the bush, that's the honest answer.
I got to admit, I'm kind of with Ryan on this one. I know that one developer did donate a unit to Habitat for Humanity, but that was done on his own initiative. I don't know if this is within our control, to be honest with you. I really don't. So I'll stick with Ryan's answer.
Actually, I was at one of the planning committees with that big building that was going down by Casablanca, and I addressed that situation. Why can't they build affordable housing in that section? Just for the people that can't afford it, so they can feel like they can live there. And he was going to bring that back to the table, so I haven't heard yet.
Let's be practical here. Everybody, they don't want it in their backyard, and that's what it comes down to. I have heard so many people say they don't want to live next to affordable housing, and that's what it comes down to. Unfortunately, it is true, because people do not. The bowling alley is a very, very good practical place. It's sitting there vacant, it's sitting there empty, and that could be, if we got a developer that would invest in that, that is a very, very good place, and it's still vacant. So we have to get on board, we have to ask a developer, like, what comes first? You know, like, we want to have people that stay here, but they want to make the $500,000 for a condo, you know, for a 600 square foot place. So 700 square foot place. I got 15 seconds, okay? So, but we have to ask developers, you know, but it comes down to the almighty dollar. And I have heard, yes, that you might shake your head, but a lot of people do not want them next door to their places because they want to look after their places. Unfortunately, that's reality, and that's what happens.
Yeah, that's a tough question. Affordable housing, we hear it all the time. You know, what can we do about it? And as Joanne has alluded to, if somebody builds an affordable housing complex, people will not want it near their home. There's no easy answer for this, the affordable housing. I think what we need is people working, earning a decent wage so they can afford to live. And we've got to slow down inflation and let people get caught up to the real estate market over the last 5 years has exploded and has caused this problem. And for a small town like Grimsby to come up with a solution, it's tough. That's a tough answer. Question. I don't have the answer.
This next question, they have asked me to split it into two parts. And when I say that, the one question is for any of the challenger candidates. The second part of the question is for our incumbents. And so if you are an incumbent, the question is, what have you done to better yourself as a councillor? If you are a new challenger, what have you done to prepare for running for council? How many council committee meetings have you attended? And we will start with Randy.
Actually, it is a very good question. For 4 years now, I've had the opportunity to interact with this council, and I have gone to many council meetings. I've gotten to know a lot of the candidates in other wards as well who have gone to these meetings too. We've formed a very good group where we've exchanged ideas, talked about different things. I've been to various meetings, especially planning seems to be my real pain in my backside, because I really don't like the way it's being planned. When you start putting up 22-story towers and you block the view of the lake from one side and you block the view of the escarpment from the other, I don't think anybody moved to Grimsby for that. So I've been involved in politics for 25 years. I've been watching this council for the past 4 years. I'd never planned on running again, never. And after watching this council for the past 4 years, it was an easy decision.
Preparing for council, I personally do say I haven't gone to a lot of council meetings. I've gone to a few because I was a working mother. So preparing for this election, I have tried to find the answers. So talking to other people, that's how I've prepared myself for this council. So I'm actually kind of new to this.
Being on council for 12 years, I have given myself, and I enjoy it. So I attend all committee meetings. I work full-time. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I make time, and I enjoy what I do. I go to volunteer. I volunteer, and that's what I ask, actually, of everyone. To volunteer your time, because there's nothing more challenging and rewarding than volunteering. You can volunteer at the library, you can volunteer at the art gallery, you can volunteer at the museum, because we're always looking for volunteers. The garden club, I mean, there you go. We want a beautification. We want beautification in our town. But I started on the Heritage Committee. I loved it. I was on there for 3 terms. And then I decided, my father helped me, because my father was very political as I was growing up. And he said, jump for it. And I did, because I got to know you, and I got to know my community. And you're just
15.
you're just a breath of fresh air when you come from another town and you come to this town. And just get involved, and that's what it comes down to, volunteer. There's so many things you can volunteer in this town, and please
Thank
do.
you. John?
Thank you. So what have I done to improve over the last 4 years? So I ran for council in 2014. 2015, I became unemployed. My wife got sick with cancer, so we had some really serious challenges. She got better. I decided to go and open up a business. Where did I open it? In Grimsby. I had one site, I had one location picked out, that failed. I found a second location, and I succeeded in acquiring a business. I employ 20 people. I live and breathe Grimsby. I get up every morning and go to work and think about Grimsby. I love the town. I'm going to retire here. I might even find a plot here. I might be buried here too. So there you go. It's a wonderful town. Notice I'm not going to be cremated. So duly noted. But it is a lovely town, and I think I've grown. I serve on volunteer on several committees. Is it time now? I didn't see the 15 seconds. You need to walk by, you know. So
Preparation for this job. I haven't been to too many council meetings, to tell you the truth, but for courses in management, I've taken quite a few of them with various agencies and groups within the public works world. Working in public works for my 17 years, both in parks and roads, on the other side of the border there, I feel like I understand the business of public works and know how it operates. Those are the things that have helped me prepare to where I come and decide to further myself. Also having, I think, good relationships with council on the other side. I understand how their business works because I deal with Hamilton Council on a constant basis. So I feel some of these things have prepared me to take a challenge like this and be more involved in my own community where I live.
Thank you. We're going to move away from town hall. And the next question that we are going to start with, just refresh for me, Randy, you started this last one, so Sonia, you'll be starting this one. What can we do to regain our waterfront for community access?
The waterfront at the end of my street looks like a mess. And everybody's brought some bricks down there just to make some kind of workable, safe area to get in. We see lots of ropes, beware, but people are still using. All summer, we have people coming from Smithville to use our water parks, to let the dogs play and also for them to swim. We need to bring that back. So we need to get the public works involved or somebody involved to make that better. We have beautiful benches now, and memorial benches actually on the waterfront parks. When we were on vacation one time, we seen these red chairs, and they were viewpoint chairs, and I would love to see these chairs being placed in the best view of locations. And that was kind of like a tourist thing. So that brought people. And right now, just let you know, I'm also working on calendars to bring history back to Grimsby. So I'm actually working on calendars with my husband and me.
I think if you read my platform, 6.5 kilometers of waterfront we have in Grimsby, and we will have, because with every development that goes in, they give back waterfront, and that is part of our policy in Grimsby. So from when we start to when we finish, we will connect to 50 Point.
There's nowhere to park.
Pardon me?
Nowhere to park.
That's an issue, and that is an issue with parking, but it's always, Catherine, it's always an issue with parking. But unfortunately, it's a car world. So you want to drive, everybody wants to drive, so to parks. It's supposed to be a bicycle world, but not here because you can't get around, so you drive. So, but we will have a beautiful waterfront. We will have a beautiful waterfront when it's finished. As for the truck stop too, the truck stop, there when Lysani builds, we have waterfront there too also, a quite large piece of waterfront that will be going in there too. And erosion is a big thing. Unfortunately, Lake Ontario's a big erosion place.
Thank you, Joanne. But let me just continue, because Joanne's right. We will not let a developer buy any waterfront anymore. So, and we're looking at doing an East End study to try and join some of the beaches together. But the problem is there's a lot of private property. And this has happened years and years and years ago. But over at the West End Waterfront Trail, as Joanne has mentioned, is a fabulous little trail. It will connect right through to the Branthaven development, the lake, what do we call it, Lakeview, Lake House, all the way over to Oaks Road, and it will eventually go to 50 Point. So it's a great opportunity for us to see that grow and develop, and we're going in the right direction with that. So we're not going to let any developer buy any property on the waterfront anymore.
Waterfront, I love the waterfront, and I do spend time near my neighborhood down there, and we just love it. Things that do need to happen with our existing waterfront. Some remediation works. A lot of it needs to be cleaned up so people can actually enjoy it instead of looking like rat infestation, growth everywhere. It should be cleaned up. Another thing that I would like to see, any available waterfront, not privately owned with residential on it, we should grab our hands on it and continue creating more open park space on the waterfront. And that's one thing we should do, is anything that is available, try to keep those assets.
When I first started going out and putting my name out, letting people know I was interested in running for this position, one of the very, very first phone calls I got was from a gentleman who said to me, the beach is terrible, the trees are hanging over the edge. So I mentioned this to other people as I walked around, and other people said, well, there's stones, or there's garbage, or there's no access. Until we fix our waterfront, we can't do anything else. We talk about extending it to 50 Point and the whole bit. Well, I haven't heard D&D putting any for sale signs up yet to give up their spot. So until we fix what we have, I think we need to work there first. Let's make it usable for everybody. Let's put in parking so people can actually use it. Let's put in bike lanes so kids can get to it. Thank you.
This question is actually directed to Joanne, so we're going to ask it of you first. And then if any of the other candidates would like to speak to it, we will pass it around. So the question is written to Joanne. It says, was council advised about the school crossing signs on Olive Street, and was it approved by council? They seem like very expensive signs.
That would be Public Works. Okay, so Public Works, they take charge on that, and that would be, if you want to ask that question, go call our Public Works, because it would be Bob LaRue and his crew, and that's something that does not come to council. It's directly with Public Works. So if you have any issues with the stop signs, because I had called about that, somebody had called me about that, and I got in touch with Mr. LaRue, and I think we acknowledged what happened, and we also with the, I believe the stop signs also with the reduced speed also, but the stop signs, that is Public Works, so please get in touch with Public Works on that one, okay? And they will correct that, but they will give you the information, okay? Thank you.
John, would you like to address that?
Are we talking about these new
Says
no
was
flashing
it
lights to the school zones.
Yes.
So it's a reduced speed to 40 kilometers and school zones during the day when schools are active and open. So after hours, they're off again. So is there a concern about how much money we spent on it? Is that?
The comment on it at the end of it said it seemed like very expensive signs.
Okay, I'd have to, I don't remember off the top of my head what
Do you know
the
how
cost,
much
but
they were?
no, I don't. But I don't think they were that expensive. It wasn't a couple $100,000 or anything like that. So, and I mean, these are our kids. I mean, we want to reduce speed to 40. I don't see why we would object to having those signs in. They're great, and they're working.
Anyone else?
I just want to respond to one part of those comments that I just made to you. If you have an issue, and I am elected your alderman, I'm not going to redirect you to somebody else. Call me. I'll find the answer.
This next question has to do with traffic, but I think we're really talking about traffic downtown in a different spot now. It says, what do you intend to do about the traffic congestion on Main Street, Ontario, Elm Streets, if DeSantis is allowed to put 90 units into such a small space? Most of the time it's congested, and are the traffic studies they're producing, the comment says, must have been done after 9 p.m. We're going to start with you, Sonia, because we just skip over you to Joanne for the last one.
I was actually against that building. I found out 4 heights, it's 4 floors. And how many units? 92 and 92 cars and 92 people going in and out. I'm not impressed. Yeah. To get in and out, they'll need a stoplight. Oh, 3. 3, yeah. No, I'm not impressed with that. What are you gonna do? Put a roundabout in that corner? In the extra laneway, borrow somebody's backyard for the laneway. Yeah, that would really help. No, I was against that whole building completely. So, the 100 and some odd, over about 100 cars coming in and out of that, it's not my thing. So, I'm gonna be watching that to see how it goes.
Official plan, it's zoned for 4 stories.
Yeah.
For reconstruction, and that's what it is. It's zoned for 4 stories. We want to have more people coming, living within the downtown, within the DIA. Parking is always going to be an issue. Traffic is always going to be an issue until it's alleviated. It's as simple as that. We have to find a way that people don't drive to the milk store to get milk. You know, slow down, and I know myself, I work 2 doors down from there, so trying to turn left, you know, at 4 o'clock is a nightmare. Trying to turn any time left is a nightmare. We have a stoplight at Elm, we have a stoplight at Christie, we have a stoplight at Maple, and unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be another stoplight at that building. The nightmare is going to be when it's being built.
Yes. Don't build it.
Yeah, construction always is a bit of a nightmare. But, I mean, the traffic studies are done. They're not amateurs that do this. These are professional people. And let me say this, that's 92 residents that are going to live downtown, shop downtown. I think they're going to be retirees. They're not going to be young families. Young families don't want to live downtown. I hope when I retire I can live downtown, but I don't want to do a lot of driving, so I don't think I'm going to be somebody that's going to create more congestion. I might want to take my car out in the evening to go visit my daughter in Burlington, but I don't think I'm going to drive through the town during the day. I do not see how 92 units is going to create that much more traffic congestion. So I know they all think I'm crazy. Go ahead.
Well, just like most, I'm not a real big fan of what's going to go in there as well. And there's no real way around this, the way I look at it from a traffic perspective, but there's really not much we can do with that road there. I mean, roundabouts won't fit anywhere downtown with the amount of room and space and design.
Decrease the density. Jeez. Are
It's
you
true.
guys all nuts?
They're packing it in there, and we'll have to see how it goes, because that's something, unless the phase of the building don't go up, if it goes up, there's not much room for expansion. You put more stop signs in, you slow people down. If you take them out, people drive faster. It's a recipe that's not going to work, and it's unfortunate, and that's the honest truth from this side.
I got a lot to say in 60 seconds about this particular development. I've been very involved with this one. First of all, it's no longer 92 units. He recently came to a committee meeting and wants to bump it up to 95. Now, having said that, as far as density in regards to that comment, the official plan doesn't have anything on density because that was discussed at the meetings. Why is the density so thick? This gentleman who is building this, I don't know the man personally, but he lives in our community according to him. He lives down in his mansion on 50 Road. He doesn't care. He's a developer, he wants his money. He is also, initially the last plan I saw was 5 stories because he was trying to sneak a loft story in on the back because the back dips down. There's a gentleman standing in the very back there, and I have spoken to him on many occasions. He lives on Doran Avenue. So do other people in here. Talk to these people. You're going to see the nightmare you're going to have getting out there. You cannot put stoplights at Ontario because it's too close to the ones at Elm. So you are going to have major traffic. And the worst part is there's a school at one end. Now if somebody comes out during the day and they're in a hurry and they decide to cut through the school because the gate's open, that's our kids. Now when the school is closed, the gate's closed. You only then have one roadway in. Now I appreciate what Mr. Dunstall said. But younger people do generally like to go downtown. We have some great bars down there. And younger people are attracted to things like that. It might be more affordable. So reasonably speaking, we have a real issue down there. And as far as these traffic studies, they're done by experts. And they compared us to Mississauga and Milton. How is that expert? Not. Thank you.
Thank you. The time has rolled along, and we're now at the next part of wrapping up the evening here. So at this point in time, what we'd like to do is ask the candidates to make some closing remarks. Each candidate gets 2 minutes for this, and we will begin in the reverse order that we did the opening remarks. So we're going to start with the gentleman who pulled number 5 out of the hat this evening, which is John Dunstall.
I was trying to. First of all, thank you everybody for coming, and thank you to Delight for the moderating. I think it went very well. In my closing remarks, I'd just like to say that I've worked very hard for you over the last 4 years on council. I think I can work another 4 years very hard for you. And again, we need to have a balanced growth in our town, and the official plan is the official plan, and the province has dictated higher density. We look at the West End, there are some unhappy people there, but before it was just open field. There wasn't anything there. Now we have a nice West End waterfront trail that everybody can have access to, that we can use, and we have it's a wonderful town, it's growing well, and I hope that you'll vote for me, you people here in Ward 3. The rest of you, it was nice to see you.
No, it goes in opposite order.
Hi. I just wanted to say that, the last, since we moved here, this is my community. I live, breathe, and I work here. I play here. Everything I wear is from Grimsby. So when we say shop locally, you should shop locally. And I just wanted to say that I'm very, very proud to be your counselor. I hope that you have faith in me, that you believe in me, and that what I've done for you over the past 12 years, that you have trust in me, because I am very honest, I'm very transparent, and in the words of John F. Kennedy said, do not ask what your town can do for you, ask what you can do for your town, because it's all about getting involved. And if you want to make a statement, get involved, because this is a place that is your home, my home, and it's our town.
Joanne, our timer thought it was a minute.
You
But
said
you
a
have
minute.
2 minutes, so if you want to add anything to it, you're welcome to.
I just wanted to, I'm not gonna, because I never ever say anything bad about anybody, and I never will, but comments that are made to us as incumbents, I have to say that we do our best, because when we started on council, we were newbies. So now that we're not newbies, we still feel like we're newbies because we're still learning. We learn every day. We learn about the traffic. We learn about the building. We have many, many members of the community that come out to planning and council that teach us, because it's an ever-evolving place. It's an ever-evolving workplace that we learn every day. It's not something that I grew up with it, that I know, that I went to school to be a counselor. No, I did not. But it's learning, and I learned so much from Catherine. I learned so much from Mr. Sharp, because when they come to different committees, we learn and we listen. And it's all about listening, and it's all about communicating, and as I say, get involved in your community. Like, you can sit here and you can judge, but if you get involved, then you know where you're coming from. Thank you.
For my closing remarks, I just want to say I'm going to work for you. I have been involved in volunteering different things in different committees regarding the Beamsville Fair and Soccer. I will go the extra mile for you. There's a lot of new things. I'm concerned about the hospital, the different things that are happening in this town. We need to keep our town together and not let it go apart. So personally, I will go the mile for you. And everybody said a wonderful thing down here, and everybody's put their words in. I will work with any of these guys. And I know I'm new to council, but I will follow the rules.
I want to start off by thanking you all again for coming tonight. I appreciate this, because it shows that people are interested and concerned about our community. I want to also say that I have learned a lot over the past 25 years of being involved in politics. And when I came to this town, I was very fortunate to meet some really good people, former councillors, current councillors, and I've spoken to every member of council at one point or another. And I mean no disrespect to any of them, this is politics. But one thing I do want to mention is there's one member of council that I know a lot of people know and a lot of people respect. And if I'm going to be like anybody, I'm going to be like Dave Cadwell. And I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be open to all of you, and I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to work with you. I'm not going to be bound just by the boundaries, because whatever happens in Ward 2, 1, or 4 is going to affect us just the same. And the position may be called part-time. I will be a full-time counselor. As I said already on my Facebook, my emails, I do respond quickly. That has always been my intention, is to have excellent customer service. Now, our incumbents, they keep talking about how things are going well, how they should continue on. In my mind, if you like the way the town is, you like the way the town's gone the past 4 years, vote your incumbents back. And I'll gladly step aside. I don't agree. I think it's time for change, with the exception of Dave Cadwell. He's the only one I'd like to keep on council right now. But other than that, we need to clean house. We need to get in there, get some fresh blood. Irregardless of how long these people have served, it's time for change. US, they may not elect the best presidents, but at least they know to get rid of them after 2 terms. So I'm going to ask you, well, hopefully maybe 1 for some of them, but anyways, I'm going to ask you to seriously please consider what we, the newbies, have to offer. And specifically, I'm going to ask you to consider what I have to offer. Call me, reach out to me, I'll be banging on your door in the next little while. If you've got something to say, I want to hear it, and I will be there to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, folks here. This has been interesting, really get to meet you and some of you so far. I would really like you to vote for me, and I would like you to do that so I can join the corporation and help the town of Grimsby employees make good things going forward. I think also the most important thing, and I think you need to relay this to everybody else out there too, is the voting thing. Let's get those numbers up no matter who we vote for. It's a really big deal. Everybody here has got to vote. You got to tell your neighbors, you got to tell your friends and relatives, no matter what, get out there and vote. Make your choice, no matter who it is, any one of us up here. It's the most important thing. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. There are 2 issues that I would like to address which arose. One had to do with another group called A Better Niagara and their endorsement of candidates. We, as a Better Grimsby, do not endorse any candidate. We perhaps should have renamed ourselves A Better Informed Grimsby, because that was our aim. We are neutral. We respect every individual who puts their name up for office, whether they're in, they're out, or whatever. It doesn't matter. To put your name up takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time, and you need to respect people who do it. That is my firm belief. But we do not endorse anyone. The second thing that I would like to address is we're all amateurs at this. So we would really appreciate any feedback from you as to how we could improve what we have done and make the whole process better. So you know where my contact information is. Please either tell us tonight or send me an email or phone me. We would really like to know what you think we should do to improve this informative exercise. Thank you.
See, one of the advantages of being the last person to hold the mic is I get to say a few closing comments.
Can I ask one question? Are
Yes.
you the same group that's going to be doing all the wards, all at different times, all at probably different locations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she's good as, we've got 2 next week and 2 the week
We're
after.
going to give you the times and the dates now, too.
Right on.
So I wanted to just end the evening by saying thank you for the good questions. Thank you for the good answers. Thank you for good food for thought for all of us to think about and to really consider what we want from our candidates going forward. Thank you to the organizers of the meeting this evening, to the candidates who came out, to the media who came to join us this evening, and really to my fellow Grimsbonians. Is that what we really are? Grimsbyites, that sounds better. I agree. This evening, the group made an attempt to tape the discussion. So do let your friends and neighbors know that it may be moving on to grimsbycitizens.com if they are technically capable of moving the tape over and things like that. They did say to tell me that if they're able to do that. The next debate will be Tuesday, September 25th, that's Ward 4, taking place at the Grimsby Livingston Centre. Sorry, was that the Activity Centre, pardon me. Ward 2 will take place on Thursday, September 27th, same place, same time. And Ward 1 will take place back here at the Legion on Thursday, October 4th. Pardon me. For those of you here tonight, I've been asked to share with you too that Grant LaFleche, who is an investigative reporter with the St. Catharines Standard, pardon me, will be coming to the Mountain View Christian Reformed Church on Tuesday, October 2nd at 7 p.m. At that time, excuse me, he will share with Grimsby the investigations he has done, the reporting on regional issues, and specifically talk about the seizure of the St. Catharines Standard reporter's laptop, the ongoing saga at the NPCA. The Provincial Auditor General's report is supposed to be released October 2nd. And he will also hopefully be talking about the Caslin Cabal, as he calls it, and their role in the region's hiring of the NPCA Chief Administrative Officer to become the Region of Niagara's Chief Administrative Officer. And that entire issue, for those of you who have been following it, is currently under investigation by the Provincial Ombudsman. So you can see there's a lot of really hot issues at the region, and so you're invited to attend that evening. Just a reminder that advance voting begins on October 10th. Election day is the 22nd. The town has said they are mailing out your passwords, your PINs, and that will allow you to vote online. I understand that you can also physically vote at Town Hall on Monday, October 22nd, which is voting day. You are welcome to remain behind, and I'm sure the candidates would love to talk to many of you. If you have any questions that weren't answered tonight, you can speak to them after the meeting. You can leave them with the panel here, together with your name, address, email, however you would like to be contacted. We have said that they have said that they would like to forward the question to all the candidates in all fairness and have them get back to you. So but you can indicate what you would like from that too if you leave your questions here. I would like to just end the evening by repeating an observation made by someone else. I didn't think up these brilliant words, but I really do think that they are so appropriate. And that is that to make democracy work, we must be a nation of participants, not simply observers. One who does not vote has no right to complain. Good night and safe travel.